Hey, what's up everybody? In this video, I'm going to review Captain Phasma from the Star Wars series. This Tsum came out in May 2024 and is one of the 5 new Tsums. And the drop rates for this Tsum is 57.14% and is a little bit easier to get compared to Exasperated Kylo Ren. And to activate his ability, you're only going to need to clear a total of 15 copies of him off the screen. So 15 is considered on the lower end. You're definitely going to be able to activate a lot of abilities per game. The minimum score is 160 with a maximum score of 895. So unfortunately, the maximum score is not that great, but hopefully because you're able to activate a lot more abilities per game, that you're going to be able to get a lot more on the scoring end. And if you want to get him to skill level 6, you're going to need to get a total of 32 copies of him from the premium box or using skill tickets. And 32 is on the average side, but before you go spending your skill tickets or your coins, check out this video in its entirety before making that decision. And when it comes to the ability for Captain Phasma, there's 2 things that will change. Every single time you level him up, the skill range will increase from extra small all the way up to skill level 6 will become extra large. The score multiplier works at skill level 1 at 1.3 multiplier, and once you get him to skill level 6, the multiplier is going to be 2.8. So it's more than double once you're able to get him to skill level 6. Now when it comes to the ability, there are 2 different components. The abilities don't work the same, where every single time the animation plays through, there's 2 different animation. The first time you activate his ability, it's going to be a horizontal slash, and that slash is always going to be in the middle. And then the second time when you activate his ability, it's going to clear random Tsums off the screen, and it's going to burst a bunch of Tsums in random areas. Now the skill range is only in reference to the horizontal slash and not the burst that the plasma gun shoots out. That's always going to be the same between all 6 of the skill level. Now if you're enjoying this type of content where I review Tsums, do monthly leaks, go over the selection boxes as well as the pickup capsules, please consider subscribing to this channel. Your subscription really helps me out a lot. And if you're looking for a community of other Tsum Tsum players to chat about the game, or if you need help with the game, need additional hearts or additional coins, consider scanning this QR code on the screen or using the invite link in the video description down below. You'll be able to join the Discord server. Alright, so let's take a closer look at all 6 of the skill level for Captain Phasma. And again, at skill level 1, the skill range is going to be extra small, skill range for skill level 2 will be small, and medium for skill level 3. And there's also that score multiplier that I mentioned earlier, 1.3 for skill level 1, 1.6 for skill level 2, and then 1.9 for skill level 3. So let's get into it and talk a little bit about the strategy. And the strategy is actually exactly the same as Exasperated Kylo Ren. The activation or the way you execute the strategy is slightly different because you're going to experience it a little bit different, but the high level explanation is going to be the same. So first thing is you want to burst bubbles prior to activating the ability. Very similar to Exasperated Kylo Ren. The bubbles will get in the way of the horizontal slash and as well as the random clears as well. So you want to just get rid of those bubbles as much as possible to maximize the abilities that you could clear. The second thing is using the overcharge effect. Very similar to Exasperated Kylo Ren, the animation doesn't freeze during the ability time. So what that means is that you want to activate the ability as soon as it's fully charged, and you actually want to start pressing it before it's fully charged. So that way the overcharge will go into the next ability. And then the third thing is you want to burst bubbles one at a time, especially for when you're using this Tsum here in particular and you have the random clear, you're likely going to be able to generate a lot of bubbles during that animation. This Tsum is really good for bubble making, and once those bubbles are made, you want to just burst them from left to right or from top to bottom in that offsetting sequence. By doing that, you'll be able to clear a lot more Tsums off their screen, getting a higher score as well as more coins as well. And let's take a look at the abilities activated at the same time. And first I'm going to show you the horizontal slash, and then we'll get into the random burst later. So this first burst or this first slash is in reference to the skill range. The skill range here, skill level 1 is going to be small or extra small and then small for skill level 2, medium for skill level 3. You'll see there that the skill range is pretty big already for these 3 skill levels, so it's a pretty good burst. Skill level 1, it cleared a total of 19, 24 for skill level 2, and skill level 3 28. So these are on the higher end, for especially for these lower skill level. The best way to set up the screen when you activate the ability is just to make sure that there's no bubbles that will get in the way to maximize the coin earnings as well as the score. Now let's take a look at the random burst one. The ability for Captain Phasma will alternate, so you'll see that horizontal slash and then you're going to get this random clear. So this random clear is legitimately completely random, but it is going to burst random areas on the screen. The skill range, it doesn't matter here. It's just going to burst really random tsums. And as you can see here, a lot of bubbles gets generated from that random burst. But unfortunately, the skill range has no factor into this, which kind of renders this a little bit hindering, I guess you could say. It's not as effective when you get them to the higher skill level. It really doesn't matter as much. Now let's take a look at the higher skill level at skill level 4, 5, and 6. The skill range for skill level 4 will be large, extra large for skill level 5, and skill level 6 it's going to be extra large. And then like I mentioned earlier, there will be a score multiplier as well. 2.2 for skill level 4, 2.5 for skill level 5, and 2.8 for skill level 6. And the abilities are going to be the same, so you're always going to get that horizontal clear first, and then you're going to get that random burst, and then it's going to go back to the horizontal slash. So it's going to go back and forth between these two abilities. Now the random burst really is for bubble making, so if you are looking for a tsum that generates a lot of bubbles per game, then Captain Phasma is a really good option for that, especially if you have a mission this month and you get that character bonus as well. It's going to make clearing those missions a lot easier. But just keep in mind, you want to burst those bubbles one at a time because you want to maximize the clear of each of those bubbles. You don't want to just rush through them, especially if you are out of fever time. You can use those bubbles to get yourself back into fever time, which is very helpful. And using bubbles is always a really good way to get yourself back into fever time. Now let's take a look at the abilities here activated at the same time at these higher skill level. So like I mentioned earlier, it's always going to be the horizontal slash first. And as you can see here, it's a pretty thick line here. It clears a lot of the screen here already at skill level 4, but once you get to skill level 6, it clears a majority of the screen. At skill level 4, I got a chain of 31, 34 for skill level 5, and 37 for skill level 6. So this is considered on the higher end for skill level 6, and keep in mind the screen only has a total of 45 tsums. So it cleared a majority of the screen already at skill level 6. But the unfortunate thing here is that the burst tsums, or the random clearing of the second ability, is going to be the same between all 6 of the skill level. So in a way, it feels like you're almost wasting an ability. But regardless, let's take a look at these higher skill level and you could decide for yourself if it's effective for you or not. So this is in full speed, and let me slow this down and keep an eye for the numbers here. The numbers will tell you how many tsums got cleared for each of these bursts. And they're going to range from anywhere between 5 to 9. And if you're able to get 7 and above, you're going to get that bubble there that gets generated on the screen. So that's why I mentioned that having that ability there, or having all those bubbles there, is very helpful. It could get you back into fever time. It could also generate another skill as well. So you definitely want to burst those bubbles immediately after the ability gets activated. That way you can get that horizontal slash again to get a lot more coins and get a higher score. So overall, Captain Phasma is a really easy tsum to use and very beginner friendly as well. This tsum is really good for bubble making. So if you have a mission, or if you need a tsum that requires you to make a lot of bubbles, especially if you encounter one of those missions that require you to make a lot of like time bubbles, score bubbles, XP bubbles, whatever bubble it is, this tsum can be very effective because it ranges from anywhere between 7 to 11. So with that being said, that's really what this tsum is really good for. Not that great for coins, and for score, I don't really think that it's effective enough where you should invest in it. So let's take a look at the results for all 6 of these gameplays. At skill level 1, I ended up with 1,066 coins with 3.6 million points. Now, one thing I want to just make sure you guys are aware is that these are all low level Captain Phasmas. So they're not going to be at a very high level. If you get him to level 50, your score is definitely going to be a lot more. However, it's not going to be significantly more where you would use them for any of these score challenges here. And in terms of coin earnings, as you can see here, nothing too amazing. At skill level 4, I was able to get 2,446. So once you get to that level, then you could use the 5-4 and the coin boost. But anything before that, really not worth it. And even at skill level 4, you may sometimes lose some coins as well. But if you are playing consistently and playing over a long period of time, you should be able to gain benefits from the coin boost. So starting at skill level 4, you can use the 5 foreign coin boost. But unfortunately, as you can see here, even at skill level 6, the increase isn't really that worth it. I was only able to get 2,950 coins and only 9.6 million points. So nothing too exciting here. So for that reason, I would say if you are looking to get Captain Phasma, you could probably stop at skill level 4 and really not assume that you really must have here. So that's my review of Captain Phasma. I hope that you guys found this video helpful or at least entertaining. And if you'd like to see more Tsum Tsum content just like this, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, thank you so much for watching.